A woman was discovered missing by her friend. The police conducted multiple searches but couldn't find her. However, in her home, they found a diary recording shocking details. What did the woman experience before disappearing? Could the police use this diary to find the real culprit? Next, we'll tell you the story. Background and main character. The story takes place in Gloucestershire, located in southwestern England, northeast of the Severn River estuary. It borders Bristol Channel to the west and Oxfordshire to the east. Gloucestershire's economy is mainly based on agriculture, with about 500,000 residents. The protagonist is Kate, born in 1952 into a farming family in Gloucestershire. Among her 5 siblings, Kate was the smartest. As a student, she excelled academically. When she grew up, she became a teacher. Later, she inherited her parents' estate and had some savings. At age 47, through her brother's introduction, Kate met a man named Adrian Prout. He was 6 years younger than Kate, had worked as a pipe layer, and later engaged in agricultural business. Adrian had a failed marriage with 1 daughter and lived alone after the divorce. After meeting Kate, the two fell in love and got married in the 2nd year of knowing each other. At the wedding, Kate and Adrian appeared very happy, full of expectations for their new life together. Married life and the start of tragedy. Time flew by, and before they knew it, they had been married for 5 years. Adrian was 47 and his wife Kate was 53. They used their lifetime savings to buy a farm in Red Marley, Gloucestershire. Afterward, they moved to the farm to live. In the neighbors' eyes, this couple enjoyed a carefree life without financial worries. However, no one could have imagined that the seed of tragedy had been quietly planted. Kate suddenly vanished from the world. What happened that day? Why did Kate disappear? Next, let's rewind time to November 10th, 2007, the day of discovery. November 10th, 2007 was a Saturday. In the morning, a man named David was driving past Kate's farm. David was a friend of Kate's. He thought that in recent days when he called Kate, she never answered. Since he was passing by, he decided to stop in and see if Kate was home. So, David parked his car at the entrance of Kate's farm and walked in. The farm was eerily quiet at that moment, with no one around. This made him feel a strange atmosphere. David walked to the door of Kate's house. The door was ajar and not locked. Out of politeness, David tentatively called into the house a couple of times, but after waiting a long time, there was no response. This was too strange. David hesitated for a moment and finally decided to go inside and check. He slowly pushed the door open and walked in. First, he went to the living room. It was empty, with sofas and a coffee table in the middle, looking tidy, but Kate wasn't there. Next, David passed through the living room to the study. Compared to the living room, it was quite messy, with various office supplies scattered on the desk and floor. The computer was off and Kate wasn't there. Then, David went down the hallway to the dining room. Cabinets neatly held some tableware, but the table was cluttered with files, newspapers, and magazines. Finally, David reached the bedroom. The bedding was neatly folded, and items on the nightstand and desk were orderly, but there was no sign of Kate. After searching without success, David took out his phone and called Kate again. As in recent days, no one answered. Then, David called Kate's husband, Adrian, and explained the recent situation. Adrian said he wasn't at the farm right now, but would hurry back. After returning home and searching for his wife without finding her, Adrian called the police. The police received the report and sent officers to the farm that afternoon. Kate's husband, Adrian, stated that he hadn't seen her for several days. Even though the police questioned neighbors near the farm, they hadn't paid much attention initially, but when asked by the police, they realized they hadn't seen Kate for many days. The last time neighbors saw Kate was in the afternoon of November 5. The police started the investigation in the afternoon of November 10, meaning a full 5 days had passed without anyone seeing Kate. Some neighbors said they saw Kate wearing a black V-neck top and jeans, appearing at the farm entrance, looking normal. Others suggested tacking if Kate had gone traveling with friends or back to her hometown, as she often did that in the past year. But among Kate's friends, no one said they had traveled with her, and Kate hadn't returned to her hometown. Initial investigation. After obtaining permission from Kate's husband, Adrian, the police entered the house for a simple inspection. Kate's clothes were not in the house, and her car wasn't at the farm either. It looked like she had gone on a trip somewhere. Kate's friend, David, told the police that Kate's phone had been unreachable for several days, which had never happened before. That day, he happened to pass by the farm, so he went inside to check, but no one was there. Then, a farm neighbor provided a clue to the police. They should investigate Kate's husband, Adrian. In the past year, Kate and Adrian's marital relationship had become very bad. They argued frequently. The police had an in-depth conversation with Adrian. Adrian said the last time he saw Kate was at noon on November 5. That day, he and Kate had lunch together, during which they had a big argument over some issues. Afterward, Adrian left home and went to a bar to drink with friends, not returning until evening. When he got home, he found Kate wasn't there. He thought Kate might have gone to her brother's house, as she had done that before after arguments. So he didn't think it was strange and certainly wouldn't report her missing to the police just because he couldn't find her temporarily. That would make him a laughingstock. Adrian continued, saying that in the following days, Kate's friends called him one after another, saying they couldn't contact Kate. First, he really didn't know where Kate was. Second, he was still angry, so he didn't take their words seriously and didn't go looking for Kate. During the conversation with Adrian, the police couldn't sense any anxiety from him about his wife's disappearance. For the police's repeated questions, Adrian even seemed a bit impatient. This made the police feel something was off. Intuitively, they had already developed suspicions about Adrian. Kate's call records showed the last call was 5 days before the police report, at 3:29 p.m. on November 5, when she called the bank to inquire about her assets. This seemed nothing unusual, but it proved that Kate was still around in the afternoon of November 5 and appeared normal. So why did she disappear? Based on her husband Adrian's series of behaviors and attitudes, the police vaguely felt that Kate's disappearance might be related to Adrian, so they took Adrian back to the station to assist in the investigation. Lack of evidence and public announcement. Although they suspected Adrian, there was no evidence after all. Everything was just speculation. Plus, Kate's clothes and car were missing from home, so perhaps Kate really went traveling or was hiding at a relative or friend's house to avoid seeing her husband. Due to the lack of clues, the police released information about Kate's disappearance, hoping someone could provide leads, or that Kate herself would see it and return home soon. 22 days after Kate's disappearance, the case still had no progress. During this time, the police successively investigated Kate's neighbors, relatives, and friends, but no one said they had seen Kate, nor did they find any conflicts Kate had with anyone. The police once thought Kate had gone traveling somewhere, but after tracking her phone and bank card for over 20 days, there were no traces of activity. Multiple people told the police that Kate and her husband Adrian's relationship was in crisis. They argued frequently lately. Kate had mentioned to her family that she had been beaten by Adrian, so she planned to divorce him. From the first day of investigating this case, the police had suspected Adrian. He had the motive and time to commit the crime. The former farm was the best place to dispose of Kate without being discovered. So, the police temporarily detained Adrian and dispatched 50 search personnel with police dogs, a helicopter, and a thermal imager to conduct a carpet search of the entire farm. They carefully searched the farm and possible places where Kate could be buried. The farm was vast, with many places to hide. Search personnel dug up some suspicious areas. The entire search lasted 22 days. These screened all suspicious regions. However, regrettably, they didn't find Kate. Due to the lack of evidence, Adrian was released. Discovery of the diary and new evidence. 2 months after the case occurred, the police returned to Kate's house for another investigation. This time, they brought a search and rescue dog with a very strong sense of smell to look for Kate's scent. After arriving at Kate's house, the dog sniffed around everywhere. When it reached the terrace, it suddenly barked non-stop, indicating that Kate had been in this area while alive. Therefore, technicians searched the terrace and the entire house again, but still didn't find evidence like bloodstains. However, the police did have some gains. They found some of Kate's items in the farm, including her wallet, phone, bank card, and clothes. This convinced the police that Kate hadn't gone traveling. Besides these items, the police found a very important piece of evidence, a diary. From the diary's content, 1 year before Kate's disappearance, she and Adrian started arguing frequently. The reason was that Adrian was busy with his business and lacked care for his wife Kate. Plus, Adrian's daughter from his previous marriage moved into the home, which caused cracks in their relationship. Kate began to blame Adrian. In one argument, Adrian pushed Kate into the car. Later, even minor things would trigger their quarrels. 9 months ago, their conflicts not only didn't resolve, but intensified. Once, Adrian threatened to kill Kate. After one argument, Adrian threw Kate into the farm's drained swimming pool. After this conflict, Kate was very desperate about Adrian. She felt he had gone mad. So that day, she moved out of the farm and went to live at her brother's house. During this time, Kate also reported to the police, but since she had no serious injuries, the police didn't pursue it further. Afterward, Kate hired a lawyer to prepare a divorce lawsuit against her husband. She knew that Adrian loved the farm the most, so in the complaint, she demanded Adrian pay £600,000 in divorce settlement. It seemed Kate was determined to divorce. But this idea didn't last a month before Adrian proactively called Kate to reconcile. In the end, the soft-hearted Kate was persuaded back by Adrian. Afterward, the two spent a short period of calm time. But good times didn't last long. One day, Adrian suddenly proposed divorce to Kate and said he was willing to pay £600,000 in settlement. Kate felt very confused and puzzled about this. 2 months before the incident, during the divorce proceedings, Kate went on vacation with her sister and arranged for a housekeeper, Diane Bellamy, to take care of the farm. When Kate returned to the farm, she found Adrian being intimate with Diane. In the diary, Kate wrote that she suspected her husband was having an affair with the housekeeper. Actually, Kate didn't want to divorce, so she turned a blind eye and didn't mention it to her husband. To salvage this marriage, Kate booked 2 tickets to Italy. She wanted Adrian to go traveling with her to relax, but Adrian said he didn't want to go. As a result, Kate went to Italy with her sister. More than 10 days later, Kate drove back to the farm from the airport and found Adrian eating with the housekeeper Diane and Diane's daughter. She immediately accused Adrian of having an affair with Diane. The angry Kate wanted to divorce again. She went to the lawyer to discuss the divorce settlement. The lawyer said that their jointly owned farm would appreciate over time, so the lawyer suggested Kate could demand £800,000 in divorce settlement. This was £200,000 more than the £600,000 Adrian had previously agreed to. Adrian didn't have that much cash on hand. To pay this amount, he would have to sell the farm worth £1.2 million. In doing so, Adrian's long-held career and dreams would be shattered. The diary stopped here. The content not only revealed the long-standing conflicts between the Kate couple, but, most importantly, the police discovered the key point: a serious disagreement over the divorce settlement. This was Adrian's motive for the crime. At the same time, he also had plenty of time to commit the crime. Moreover, the police had another discovery. Adrian had once been a pipe engineer. He could completely use his professional knowledge in pipe laying to bury Kate in a place no one could find. Arrest and trial. 3 months after the case, the police arrested Adrian for the second time on suspicion of murdering Kate. Due to lack of evidence, Adrian was released again. Regarding the incident at the farm, the town's residents always had various rumors. After several rounds of police investigations, everyone felt that although Adrian had a somewhat irritable temper, he didn't seem like someone who would do that to his wife. Moreover, the police had investigated for so long without evidence, so most people believed Adrian was innocent. Kate's disappearance must have some other reason. 1.5 years after the case, Adrian continued operating his farm. He seemed to gradually forget his wife, Kate. Since Kate had signed the divorce agreement, legally, they were no longer married. Soon after, Adrian met a woman named Debbie. She was 8 years younger than Adrian. After getting together, Debbie quickly became pregnant. Then the two got engaged and started a new life. Court trial and verdict. On March 10, 2009, 16 months after the Kate case, Adrian was arrested by the police for the 3rd time on suspicion of murdering his wife, Kate. The court finally accepted the police's charges against him. 11 months later, the case was heard at Cheltenham Magistrates Court. Adrian's fiancée, Debbie, also attended the court with him. In court, the prosecution passionately described to the 12 jurors Adrian's motive and process of committing the crime. Adrian had a history of domestic violence and had threatened to kill Kate. Later, due to divorcing his wife and unwillingness to pay £800,000 in settlement, he harbored resentment. So, Adrian killed his wife in the afternoon of November 5th. Since Adrian had worked as a pipe engineer for a period, he was very proficient in how to lay pipes underground. He used his professional knowledge to hide Kate underground somewhere on the farm, so that no matter how the police searched, they couldn't find her. Adrian denied the charges brought by the police. Then, the court entered the deliberation phase. After intense discussion, the 12 jurors reached a result. They believed that although there was no direct evidence and the victim's body had not been found yet, Adrian did have domestic violence behavior and he had sufficient motive and conditions to commit the crime. After deliberation, the 12 jurors unanimously found Adrian guilty. The court immediately pronounced the verdict: Defendant Adrian Prout is guilty of murder, sentenced to life imprisonment with no parole for 18 years. This was a case where the prosecution convicted the defendant without finding the victim's body. Such cases are very rare. Although Adrian was convicted, he still refused to admit his crime. After entering prison, he actively sought appeal avenues. His fiancée, Debbie, always believed he was innocent and gave Adrian tremendous support. Debbie even organized town residents to launch a campaign to release Adrian. Many people also thought the court's judgment was problematic. Adrian was innocent. After all, Kate hadn't been found. Theoretically, she could still be alive. Although Adrian was convicted, the police also faced tremendous pressure. They urgently wanted to find Kate to prove that the imprisoned Adrian was the real culprit. Under immense pressure, the police obtained the farm again for excavation. They turned the land upside down but still didn't find anything. Actually, they knew that this search method was like finding a needle in a haystack because the farm was large and the underground was three-dimensional. They had to narrow the scope first to have a chance of finding it. 3 months after Adrian's imprisonment, the police announced the cancellation of further searches at the farm. Kate might never be found. With the issuance of the police statement, more and more people believed Adrian was innocent. This also strengthened Debbie's determination to prove Adrian's innocence. Confession and conclusion. 1.5 years after Adrian's imprisonment, Debbie found an appeal avenue. She hoped Adrian would take a lie detector test. As long as he passed, there would be evidence to appeal. Originally, Adrian had always refused the lie detector test, but this time he agreed. During the lie detector test, the psychologist asked him a question. Adrian, did you kill your wife Kate? Adrian answered very calmly, no. But the body indicators on the lie detector fluctuated. In the end, he didn't pass the lie detector. After the lie detector test, Adrian shrugged helplessly. The psychologist noticed this small action and asked if he suspected the lie detector was wrong. Unexpectedly, Adrian made a surprising move. He finally admitted that he was the murderer who killed Kate. Adrian stated that on that day, Kate and he had a big argument over the divorce settlement. In anger, he strangled Kate to death.
To leave no evidence, he put Kate in the trunk and then drove to the bar to drink with friends. When he returned at night, he chose to bury Kate in the pheasant enclosure in the woods because the smell there was strong and could cover the rotting odor. Even sensitive police dogs couldn't distinguish it.
Subsequently, Adrian was taken to the farm. Due to the long time past, Adrian had somewhat forgotten the exact location and could only determine a general area. The police dug for a full 4 days and finally found a skeleton. After forensic examination, this was the Kate Prout who disappeared 4 years ago. At this point, the entire case finally came to light. But justice has a long arm. Adrian never imagined that the prosecution could convict him without finding the victim or direct evidence, because after his wife's disappearance, he appeared completely unconcerned. Perhaps if he had acted a bit more, he could have gained the jury's trust. But in the end, he couldn't do it, because what he lacked was not only the responsibility of a husband to his wife, but also humanity.